You're walking through an airport in Amsterdam, or maybe just scrolling through a Reddit thread, and you suddenly notice something. The Dutch are really tall. Not just a little tall. Statistically, they're the tallest people on the planet. Men average about 6 feet, 183 centimeters, and women come in at around 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters. That's a full few inches taller than global averages. But why? What's in the water in the Netherlands? Is it genetic? Nutritional? Cultural? Environmental? And what does it mean to be tall in a world that isn't always built for long legs? Let's unpack one of biology's most curious outliers, and what it tells us about evolution, society, and the silent power of selective pressure. Height around the world. Height is one of those traits we often take for granted. But across the globe, it varies in fascinating ways. From shorter average statures in Southeast Asia to taller populations in Scandinavia and parts of Africa, height is shaped by a mix of genes, nutrition, health, and even socioeconomics. But the Netherlands stands out. Not just tall, consistently tall, generation after generation, with steady increases over the last century. This isn't just a fluke. It's a trend, and a telling one. The genetic foundation. Let's start with genetics. The Dutch population shares Northern European ancestry, which already trends toward taller height. But studies suggest that even among other Europeans, the Dutch carry a unique genetic cocktail that favors growth. In 2015, researchers at the University of Groningen published a fascinating study. They analyzed the birth and height records of thousands of people and found a surprising pattern. Taller men in the Netherlands had more children than shorter ones. In other words, natural selection was actively favoring height. This evolutionary pressure is subtle but significant. Over generations, it amplifies the presence of height-related genes in the population. It's a rare example of a trait increasing due to modern selection, not just ancient biology. So yes, genes play a major role. But they're only the beginning. Nutrition, milk, cheese, and protein. Genes might set the blueprint, but nutrition builds the house. The Dutch have one of the highest dairy consumption rates in the world. Milk, cheese, yogurt, it's part of daily life. And dairy is packed with calcium, vitamin D, and protein, all crucial for bone growth. On top of that, the Dutch diet is rich in lean meat, potatoes, and vegetables, simple, balanced, and nutrient-dense. And unlike in some countries, where malnutrition or food insecurity can stunt growth, the Netherlands has long had strong public health infrastructure, ensuring kids get proper nutrition during their most critical development years. It's no coincidence that Dutch height skyrocketed after World War II, when national food distribution and healthcare systems improved dramatically. Nutrition doesn't override genetics, but when the two align, height potential is fully realized. Environmental factors. There's also the broader environment to consider. The Netherlands has one of the highest standards of living in the world. Excellent prenatal care, widespread vaccinations, clean water, and low childhood disease rates all contribute to optimal growth conditions. Illness and infection in early childhood are known to inhibit growth, so healthier kids grow taller. On top of that, height in the Netherlands is normalized and celebrated. From extra legroom in public transit to longer beds in hotels, the infrastructure adapts to its people, not the other way around. That positive feedback loop creates a national environment where being tall isn't just allowed, it's supported. Cultural selection. Now let's talk about cultural evolution, the social piece of the puzzle. In many societies, height is associated with attractiveness, leadership, and status. That's especially true in the Netherlands. Several studies suggest that taller men in Dutch society tend to have higher socioeconomic status, better education, and more romantic partners. And remember the evolutionary study we mentioned? That tall men were having more children? That's cultural selection in action. In this context, height becomes a socially advantageous trait, subtly reinforced through dating, hiring, and lifestyle structures. And over time, that cultural bias feeds back into the gene pool. a matter of pride. Being tall in the Netherlands isn't just normal, it's national identity. The Dutch take pride in their height. It's baked into humor, fashion, and everyday conversation. There are clothing stores that cater to tall frames, cafes with higher chairs, and a national basketball team with some serious altitude. In global media, the image of the tall Dutch person has become a shorthand for the country's modernity and health. It's part of the Dutch brand. And this perception reinforces itself. When tall becomes expected, tallness gets further normalized, both biologically and behaviorally. Is there a limit? Here's a question: can a population just keep getting taller forever? Probably not. Some research suggests that Dutch height may have plateaued in the last 2 decades. Why? Possibly because environmental conditions have maxed out the genetic potential. Or because selective pressure has started to stabilize. There's also the reality that extreme height comes with trade-offs. Joint stress, heart strain, and the sheer inconvenience of living in a world designed for smaller people. So while the Dutch remain the tallest, they might not get much taller. But the story of how they got there. That's evolution, culture, and environment playing in perfect harmony. The Dutch aren't tall by accident. They're tall because of an extraordinary confluence of genetics, nutrition, healthcare, and cultural values, all reinforcing a trait that, in this case, just kept rising. It's a reminder that human evolution isn't frozen in the past. It's happening right now, in our diets, our dating choices, our healthcare systems, and the little preferences that shape society over time. Height might seem like a simple, surface-level trait. But in reality, it's a deeply layered expression of who we are, how we live, and what our cultures value most. And there's something powerful in that realization. That even in a highly developed, modern society, biology is still dynamic. We're still evolving, not necessarily toward better, but toward better fit with our environment and social structures. In the Dutch case, height became more than just a biological trait. It became an asset, socially, economically, and reproductively. That opened the door for a kind of microevolution in real time. It also raises compelling questions for the rest of us. What traits are we selecting for, consciously or unconsciously? How do cultural ideals silently shape the genetic future of a population? And as climate, technology, and lifestyles shift, will the Dutch continue to lead in stature, or will the next evolutionary frontier look different? Perhaps most importantly, it reminds us to be humble and curious about the why behind the everyday. A few inches of extra height may not seem like a revolution, but zoom out, and it becomes a case study in how deeply connected our bodies are to the invisible forces of culture, history, and time. So the next time someone asks why the Dutch are so tall, you can say, it's not just cheese and genes. It's the story of evolution itself, still unfolding, 1 centimeter at a time. If you enjoyed this dive into human height and evolution, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos that explore the weird, wonderful quirks of human life. Got theories of your own? Or maybe a tall tale to tell? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe invest in a step stool.